There are a lot of stories out there just waiting to be told. I'm recording artist Mark Tara. Welcome to Spotlight.
Spotlight, shine bright tonight. Time for you to step into spotlight, shine bright tonight. Time for you to step into spotlight.
Hello, and welcome to Spotlight, a show that features talent in all its varied forms, everything from politics to the performing arts. Let's see who's stepping into the spotlight today.
Spotlight.
LAG Concepts is a Toronto-based design house that specializes in custom wearable art pieces for special events. LAG Concepts designs for the fashion and entertainment industry. They do work for runway shows, bridal parties, theatrical performances, and print ads. Past productions they've worked on include the Miss Universe beauty pageant and the Hair Show Extreme. This part I love. Whether it's an extravagant or moderate event, all designs can be produced using materials that fit your budget. So, joining me from LAG Concepts is owner and designer Lonnie and partner Andre. Guys, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you. Nice being here.
So, LAG Concepts, where does that name come from, Lonnie?
That's from me, Lonnie Alicia Goudreau, and the concepts is the clients. So we as designers create your concepts.
So tell me, Lonnie, how did you get into designing jewelry?
Originally, I was thinking about going into fashion designing, and I moved to Toronto, and I went to the International Academy of Design, and unfortunately, I was only able to attend for a year due to finances, and I had to stop. And at the same time, I happened to got laid off at a part-time job as well. Then I was stuck. I was like, great, no career, no part-time job, nothing. Like, what do I do with my life? I went to an unemployment place. I talked to a counselor, and I told her my dilemma, and she's like, well, what was your dream? What's your main thing you want to do in your life? And I said, I want to run a company, a fashion company. And I said, however, I just don't feel equipped enough in the fashion designing business. I still feel I need to learn a lot more into it as compared to, and I said, my jewelry, how I make my jewelry. Ever since I was 8 years old, I know that inside out, back of my hand, of all these different techniques. And she's like, well, why don't you do that for a living? Why don't you make a jewelry company, maybe a boutique or something? And I'm like, I never thought of that before. However, the main thing, what I loved about fashion designing is I love the glam, the high fashion, the runway shows, like the high energy that fashion designing brought. And jewelry design, I think of little boutiques, and it's my designs, and people will come in, and if they don't like it, they leave. Like, it's just so much more low energy, right? But I thought about the idea, and she told me about this SEB program where they help start up companies, and they can teach you all the ins and outs about opening a company. They said it's very, very hard to get into. It's very intense, but if you're dedicated and you get selected, they'll really sponsor you for a full year and teach you everything. I was basically coming out of high school, so I didn't know too much about running a company, and I thought that was a great idea. So I applied to that, and on the meantime, I've always been doing modeling for quite some time, and at the time I was just starting it, but I've been doing it over the years. And I was doing a photo shoot one day, and I was talking to a photographer, and I told him my ideas about opening this company of jewelry design. And he said, oh, you know what? I would love to rent some of your pieces for some of my photo shoots, like when I do, magazine covers or whatever. Because every time a different photo shoot is always a different theme, different look, and I have to invest in all this jewelry and never use it again. I would love to have the jewelry and, rent it, which got me the idea, like, custom designed jewelry on a rental rental and purchase basis. Like, that would be fantastic. And what other people in the industry can benefit from this? So I thought, there's fashion designers for their photo shoots and runway shows, theater productions, wedding parties, burlesque or showgirls or dancers. Or there's so many people in the industry that can use it for the one-time event and always change it up. And maybe they can have a custom rental, custom pieces made, and all these ideas start popping up. So I later on, it ended up that I did get accepted in the SEB program, and they loved my idea, and they thought it would be a very viable business opportunity, and I got accepted there, and they helped me to start up my company, and everything's in history, and I've been doing this for a good 7-8 years now, and I love it, and it's the best thing that ever happened, of how it just twisted. Instead of fashion designing, it's jewelry designing, and it's great. Now I do create full crystal body outfits and everything, so it's kind of still touching base of my old dream, but doing it in a different twist, which I feel a lot more comfortable and confident about. So,
that's the interesting thing about your jewelry line that I thought would be a perfect fit for this program, because when you think of a jewelry line, you don't necessarily think sex, you don't think sexuality, but your jewelry line can be used in a very sensual, erotic way, if you really think about it. Because I'm not, the person to necessarily describe it per se, but I can see someone being, totally buck naked or something with some of your jewelry, like, adorning themselves, and it would be fabulous.
Absolutely, yes. Like the burlesque, I work with the Great Canadian Burlesque right now. I'm just starting with them, and that's exactly what it's all about too. And yeah, it's all the glitz and glam, but looking feminine and sexy at the same time. And I call it like the jewelry. Yeah, it's body outfits, body art, right. Kind of thing. It's not just jewelry, necklace, earrings that you think of jewelry per se. It's whole head pieces, armbands, leg pieces. It's whole dimension into it. And
now, Andre, to get you into the conversation, what is your role with LAG Concepts?
Well, I'm Lonnie's partner in life, and you could say partner in crime, if you will. We've been together for about 13 years now, and I've decided to move to Toronto with her and follow her in her dream. I've been a staunch supporter of everything that she's involved herself in, especially now that we're slowly getting ourselves involved in more sensual aspects of jewelry designing. In other words, dealing with the burlesque troupes and dealing with drag queens and stage shows of that nature. Things that are a little bit more off the wall, a little bit more eccentric in nature. And I've been there trying to help her out, a guinea pig, if you will. When she designs for queens, she'll use my male form as a
I do.
Yeah, basically, I'm a mannequin for her, if you will, literally a mannequin, and we have a good time with it. So I try to help her out if she has any issues with any engineering aspects or any difficulties for clasps or whatnot, and just part of the design process, if you will.
I couldn't do it without him. Like, he's amazing. He's such a great supporter with all my shows and events and long hours, even when meetings I take him to. And, he builds me 2 full bead shelves. Like, it's endless of ideas. Like, he's always, anytime I'm stuck with ideas, I turn to him and say, hey, help me out here. And he gives me a nice twist on things and avenues. So I couldn't do it without him. I thank you for always being there.
It's a working partnership. Yeah. She's the main inspiration. She has the ideas, and she has the design concepts, if you will. She has the hands, the ability to make other people's ideas come to life and come to fruition. I'm more the assistant in trying to help get those ideas out sometimes if she has trouble with it.
Now, your pricing, talk to me about pricing for your jewelry line. Tell me how that works.
I work on people's budgets. So no matter how big or small a production you might have, I work on your budget. And with me saying that is, it depends what you want. Let's say based on crystal, you want a piece made on crystal. There's so many different price range on there. I can do a Chinese crystal, Australian crystal, Swarovski crystal. It goes endless. I can make the piece look identical using different types of materials, for instance, like the crystal, and each price each piece could have a different price point. So that's why I tell a client, what is your price point? What is your design? And then I'll make it happen that way and give you the options, what's available so. Yeah, so either big or small. So even someone starting out in the industry and they're just starting out, I can work on something for them and create what they want and stuff. Or even if you have a bigger budget, more established and everything, it doesn't matter with me. I help the underdogs as well. I love that too, and not just my designs.
So pricing basically is decided upon by the client, not by ourselves.
Yeah.
They give us an idea of what their expectations would be. So if they have an expectation where they want expensive materials used and they have the budget and they want to put the money into a time-honored piece that they plan on passing down through generations, then no problem at all. We'll go out, we'll source those materials, and we'll make it in that price point. Mind you, if you're an individual that is just starting out, or you're a person who's doing theatrical stuff where it's a one-time only, you're not allowed to wear it again. For example, Caravana. They're not allowed to wear the same costume in a second year as what they might have worn last year. So they don't care necessarily the actual cost value of the piece. They want the impact value. They want the bling, the look. They want that showpiece. And we're able to work on their budgets in order to try to keep the cost to a minimum so that they have more money for the next production.
I find a lot of people also, they don't realize there is options. You know what I mean? They expect that it's just one price or whatever. Like, no, there's options. There's a lot of material. If you need beads, what types of beads, different sizes, different colors, that all depends on price. A lot of people don't know that. You know what I mean? And being in the industry, I know that. So that's why I would rather give them the option that, hey, you can still get that piece that looks very, very close to what you want. It doesn't matter on the kind of budget or whatever. Yeah, just give me that option. I'll figure it out for you. You know what I mean?
So Lonnie, tell me, what inspires your designs?
Well, it's not really my designs. I design what the client wants. I create their vision, and I try to go into their head and create what they would want. That's the whole base of my whole company.
Well, let me give you an idea. The name LAG Concepts literally is derived from Lonnie Alicia Goudreau and our clients' concepts. What we do is we'll have the client will be as involved in the design process as they want to be. A client will come to us and say, this is something I have envisioned, and they may give us a sketching or a drawing or an idea that they've come up with. And then we'll go from there with them. We'll talk it through. We'll figure out ways to make that idea work physically so that the actual engineering properties of the pieces come together in a way that's going to accent them in the most appropriate ways. But we'll also try to incorporate the individual's mood or of expression that they're looking forward to projecting from wearing that piece. For example, if it's a sensual piece that they're looking for, something on a burlesque troupe or something on a drag stage where the person wants to look feminine and sensual and sexual, then we'll try to get that from them, that's what they're desiring, and we'll tailor the piece to try to help project that mood. If it's more hard-edged, for example, someone that a Leatherman, for example, would want to wear, then we'll try to get that particular mood. We try to find out what the individual wants to show while wearing that piece.
Yeah, we can help them enhance it. They can come with an idea, and we can give them, perfect their idea. Like, we'll give them more ideas to build onto their idea, I guess what I'm saying. And we work with a variety of materials that it's not just, a lot of designers only work with one type. No, we work with sterling silver, Swarovski crystal, chainmail. We do beading. We do soldering with rhinestones. Like, there's so many different techniques, and that's why I always tell them, throw me your ideas. A lot of times I can work around it and work with different materials and everything, creating your vision. It's not, I'm not just one type of designer. I work
feathers, leather, lace, you name it.
Yeah. And I did take fashion design. I've done it a little bit here, though. So I even put a lot of times, jewelry on outfits. So it's, you can take it on and off. So it's still a jewelry piece, but it's sewing and all that on an outfit too. So it's including so many different techniques. So
you guys are a straight couple, and you have a sponsorship agreement essentially with a gay nightclub, Cruiseentangles. So tell me about that relationship and how that all came about.
I guess I'll field this one for you. Lonnie and I as we were working out throughout the designing process and working with more mainstream beauty pageants like the Miss Universe pageant or the Hair Show Extreme, she was starting to let me know that she was feeling somewhat hedged in, somewhat boxed into a mainstream market, and wasn't able to expand her horizons, wasn't able to get that creative energy out, because we would start and they'd be, I'm sorry, that's too extreme for this particular production. So by chance, we were watching, of all things, RuPaul's Drag Race. And Lonnie and I, as we were watching the show, were like, wow, look at the beauty, look at the art, look at the stage value that they're putting into the productions themselves, into the outfits, into this, like the whole look, the package. And we both looked at each other and said, you know what, this is it. This is perfect for us. So together we decided that we put together a small portfolio and we go around to different businesses throughout the village area. Unfortunately, we were not well received to begin with. We had a lot of doors closed on our faces. A lot of people were very trepidatious towards working with, especially coming up as a straight couple, and obviously straight couple. And we happened to be fortunate enough to talk to one very nice lady who was working in a boutique, and she told us about Cruiseentangles, which was nearby. And she said they are the premier club in the village for the drag market, for the queens. She's like, if anybody could help you, it's them. So we decided to go out and very informally had an interview with Paris of Cruiseentangles. And he liked what we had, or what we were thinking, and decided to open up a working relationship with us. So throughout the last few years, he's actually helped to encourage us in redesigning all some of our lines so that it would work for the queens, so that we get the right feeling, the right materials, and basically just moving in the right direction, because we found that we've had a few design difficulties. For example, men, generally speaking, are rougher. They're more hard-edged, and they tend to be more physically demanding on whatever they're wearing, especially jewelry. So we had to try to work on incorporating stronger materials and things of that nature, and also to change all kinds of things like the sizing aspects, everything, to be able to make a feminine piece of jewelry suit a male frame. So long story short, it was thanks to Cruiseentangles, their patience, that we were able to become known within the drag community locally, and now slowly abroad as well. So we have a lot to thank them for. They took a chance on us, and we were able to take the ball and run with it.
Yeah.
I love to open up the discussion to include gay, straight, gay versus straight, Batman versus Superman. Now, and Andre, I'm going to put this to yourself as to get essentially a straight man's perspective, essentially on being in a gay world, for lack of better words, when you've dealt with being at Cruise Tango and having drag queens come on to you, flirt with you. I would love for you to be honest with me, to give us your personal take on your being a straight man and essentially being in a gay world. Tell me about that from your own perspective.
I'll give you a little bit of background. My father was Air Force for 35 years as a drill sergeant. I have worked construction jobs and worked in a very hard-edged, manly man's type environment my entire life. I met Lonnie. Lonnie brought me into the fashion world. Most fashion designers, clothing designers, are gay, right? There is an awful lot of exposure available within the gay community in order to be able to do business if you're dealing with fashion, or if you're dealing with anything to do with the physical appearance, what have you. I was very fortunate enough to be raised in an open-minded environment where both my parents said that at a very young age they would accept no matter what orientation I may have. And they always encouraged me to accept others at face value for who and what they are. So for me personally, dealing with individuals, as you said, being a straight man in a gay world, which is essentially what it is when I'm in the village, I'm quite comfortable. Originally, when I first started going to some of the establishments, I was a little bit trepidatious, I'm not going to lie. And I was concerned that I was going to be made to feel out of sorts, or that I was going to be even discriminated against by the community for being obviously straight. I was surprisingly well received. I could not believe the generosity, the patience, the kindness of the community, and the acceptance that was bestowed upon myself. From the moment I walked in the door, yeah, of course, I got jokes and people having fun. But like I said, I'm open-minded. I'm able to have fun back. Never was anybody untowards, overtly sexual, overtly discriminating, or doing anything that would put me out of my comfort zone. There was always a layer of respect for, and it didn't matter who I was dealing with or what walk of life they came from. There was always respect. And I think that's probably what really opened my eyes as a straight man as to how inclusive and wonderful the LGBTQ community actually is. It's been probably one of the most enjoyable and eye-opening experiences of my life is being allowed the opportunity to be included within the community, to work with the community, and to interact with people within the community. It's been a wonderful experience.
I completely agree. I think it's every show I go to, it's hard to explain. It's just, you go to different other shows and events and beauty pageants. It's a completely different feel.
Cutthroat.
Yeah, you come here and I feel like it's a big family. I really do. And every time I come there, there's always people greeting me, giving me hugs. It's like we've been friends for years, and we never, every time, right from the very first time I did a pageant there, whatever, I always felt so welcomed, with Andre, without Andre. It's been such a great experience, and I always tell them that. I love you guys. It's just amazing the feel you get, and it's really a nice warming. You want to be there. You want to help out more. You want to, I always want to bend over backwards 10 times more, just because the feeling people give to you, and I love it. It's a great experience. Yeah.
For me personally, as a straight man, I think the entire key to acceptance within the community and to having a working relationship within the community is being comfortable with your own sexuality, being comfortable within your own skin, which I am. I am straight, and I enjoy being the way that I am. Mind you, I'm comfortable enough in my own sexuality and in my own personality to be able to interact with people who may have alternative lifestyles or may have views that are different from my own, and not be offended and not be felt cornered or what have you.
So tell me, what do you think that comes from your upbringing? Because not everyone has that or is that open-minded. So is that something that you learned? Was it something that you were taught growing up? Because I think it's really important that this message of inclusion get out there, because there's a lot of craziness happening in the world. And I think to get a perspective from someone like yourself, I think it's invaluable, because I don't necessarily know a lot of straight men that would be willing to say, hey, I go to a gay bar and I'm okay with it.
I was the product of two very open-minded, loving individuals. My father was the type of individual who, like I said, would accept anybody regardless of race, creed, religion, what have you. And he's never had a prejudiced bone in his body. And my mother, although she went to a nunnery as a child, she didn't appreciate the strict views on certain things like sexual orientation and the rules and regulations on life. She was another individual that always said, let people live as they live, as so long as they're not hurting anybody else. So this is what I was raised as. Never have racist intolerances or sexist intolerances towards anybody. There's no reason for it. People are people the world over, regardless of what their preferences, their creed, their nation may be. And you have to accept a person for their personality and understand that we're all human. We're supposed to be different. So yeah, I think my upbringing had a huge impact on that. The fact that being in the military, I moved from place to place in Canada, and different parts of Canada have different cultural differences. You go out west, it's more of a cowboy Western mentality. You go out east, it's as people like to joke around about the newfies or whatnot. Every single culture, every single area you live in has a different culture or a subset of rules whereby it works for that individual group of people. Why should the LGBTQ be any different?
And personally, I encourage people to try to be themselves. Even when I'm there, many times I'm talking to people, like if they're interested in drag, I say, hey, go for it. Like I find we as society, we're trying to mold people. There's so much bullying and trying to mold people in a certain outlook, a certain thinking, certain acting, certain religion. Like, you know what? If this is how you feel is right and you're not hurting anybody and you're not throwing your beliefs on anybody else, this is what you want to do with your life, why not? Be happy of who you are and be proud of it, and you should not be ashamed, and that's what I really try to address to people too, and I'm glad this is how we think too. Like,
I think a lot of it too comes down to confidence.
Yep.
Personal confidence, the confidence to be able to say, and it's easier said than done. It's hard to be yourself when you're going against the grain and have society look at you and kind of say,
it's scary. Yeah.
What are you doing? Why do you look that way? Why are you? Because personally, I got that growing up. I still get that. It's like, one of these things is not like the other, and that one of those things would be me.
Yeah.
And we've come a long way as a society, but there's a lot further to go. So tell me, how can people find out more about LAG concepts online?
Well, I have an online store and I have a website, so they can come to lagconcepts.com. And from my website, you can go to my online store and Facebook page and all that as well. I do ship internationally as well, so I've designed for many different places around the world. And also, I'm Cruiseentangles official jeweler designer, so I'm also work with them a lot. So people can always contact me there, and I do, have display booths at a lot of their shows, so people can talk to me directly. I am starting with the Great Canadian Burlesque groups as well, so I'm going to be attending there on Sundays at Cherry Cola's in the near future for 2015. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a little bit with Caravana. I'm working with a couple people. I've designed for them in the past, and now I'm going to be doing it again. And they go to also the carnivals, the Caribbean carnivals near and far. So I'm going to be designing more pieces for them. So I'm starting to branch off in all kinds of different avenues.
LAG Concepts, Lonnie, Andre, thank you for being on the program.
Thank you
so much for having us, Mark.
Yes, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Spotlight.